Thursday, August the 8th. The year is 2019. I just left the dentist's office and I had that tooth. They went on and removed. I had a tooth that cracked. I had a root canal. They put a cap on there, and then they went on and took that one out. These teeth get on my damn nerves. Anyway, so they had to cut through the gum and pop the tooth out. So I'm dealing with that little pain. These teeth are really getting them, y'all. It's starting to get kind of crazy. And I still ain't got to the finished product yet. So now we're looking at still looking at the implants, some partial implants. I remember I was talking about doing the thing with Clear Choice. But I think I've found a solution that is affordable. I'll know when I go back to meet my insurance to cover it. We shall see. But anyway, I went to the dentist today and I had that removed. And then I still got to get this tooth removed. She didn't want to deal with this tooth and that tooth because they both on different sides of the mouth. So she took this one out and then I'll get that one taken out when I get closer to figuring out what we're going to do with my teeth so I can have some teeth there. It's been a process. And I haven't really rushed it because it's expensive. A, B, I want this shit done right. And C, this shit is painful as motherfucking hell shit. And niggas, they looking at my ass. They put out them big ass needles trying to numb my mouth up. I almost got out that chair and ran. I said, I can't keep going through this. This is some little cheap wine I got from Kroger's. Yes, I know I'm taking some pain pills and drinking some wine, so I don't want to hear, you're not supposed to do that. I'm doing it tonight, goddammit. I'm tired of these damn teeth. So anyway, there's some stitches in my mouth. My mouth is kind of sore. Where she numbed me up. You need them big needles to numb up the whole thing. I have to get that nerve down there and get it to go to, which is it's exhausting. But anyway, Pose, the last episode of Pose. Man, that was a great episode. I don't know if any of y'all saw it. One of the characters named Ricky was, the episode before that, he was diagnosed as being HIV positive. Y'all, please keep in mind that this show, because I saw some people talking about Pose online, and some younger folks, these young gays are so fucking ignorant, they really are, but they were talking about how the show is focusing so much on HIV, and they didn't like that, and particularly this last episode. What they have to understand, the show was set in late 80s, early 90s when HIV was sweeping through the black community, killing folks like there was no medications. But if they were watching the show, I'm thinking you did not get it's not set in our time period. It's set in a period of time when there was a lot of confusion about HIV. But they knew it was spread through sexual contact. At this point, they had some medications, AZT, which was causing the side effects to AZT was so severe. And so there's a lot of stuff going on in that episode. But what stood out to me was the scene where after the graduation of one of the characters, he graduated from dance school. And they got into this big fight at the dining room table. The characters got into it. And this was supposed to be his big moment. He was excited about graduating. And it was just a lot of stuff with, that was probably, to me, one of the realest episodes I've seen. So I remember a friend of mine used to have Sunday dinner. His name was Sheldon. Sheldon Horn, he passed away from HIV. He died from AIDS. The politically correct way to say he died from an illness related to him being HIV positive, it turned to AIDS, and he died from complications from AIDS. Okay, so anyway, he died. But anyway, Sheldon would have these Sunday dinners at his house. And everybody would race over there because Sheldon he was big spread, food, It was just, everybody would be there on Sunday. You had to be at Sheldon's house for dinner. After we left Piedmont Park or whatever, we would go to Sheldon's house. He had this big Sunday dinner because, Sunday dinner has always been a tradition for most black people. So Sheldon believed in having this big Sunday dinner at his house every Sunday. And I'll tell you, every Sunday this shit went down. We'd be eating and drinking, and somebody would get into a fight or argument. You said this, you stole my boyfriend. It would just be so much chaos. And I was much younger at that time. Now I know to avoid that type of drama. But back then, I just assumed, I was not going to miss them Sunday dinners. I'll tell you that because you never know what was going to happen. And I'll never forget one Sunday dinner, one of the guys got into it. He grabbed up a knife and chased Robert Harris into the bathroom. they got into it about something, and Robert was reading the boy or something, and they got into it. Robert was probably no more than 22, 23, 24 at this point. But Robert's a big guy, and Robert was reading, I almost said the boy's name. Robert was reading this guy, ripping him apart in front of his lover, his new lover. And this is at Sheldon's Sunday dinner. The boy grabbed up a knife and chased Robert into the bathroom. And Robert slammed the bathroom door. He was beating on the bathroom door trying to get to Robert with this damn knife. And when Alonzo, the guy I had the crush on, Alonzo, he's deceased now. Alonzo jumped up and grabbed the boy with the knife and pulled the knife from him. And it was a lot of chaos that took place at Sheldon's dinners. That's when I started finding out people had HIV. Somebody got, well, you got the package. I heard you got the package, and it would just go on. And how dare you tell somebody's spread somebody's? They didn't use the word back then. They called it the package, or it was called the package. But and they would tell on each other. Like somebody might disclose privately what they were going through, or who they had slept with, or it was just so much chaos and confusion. At Sheldon's Sunday, you could write a goddamn episode of TV shows just off Sheldon's Sunday dinners. It was just amazing. And every Sunday, them great gay folks would pile in there. I'd be right there with them, sitting on the couch. Of course, I was a quiet one, so I'd just be in there staring. I'd give me a little plate of food and go sit back and stare. Because you never know who's going to get attacked and who's going to get, just didn't know. And so, and you might say, well, why would everybody want to come to this? Because it's just the way gay folks were. It was food and drinks and all that. If somebody was in town, or everybody just knew to come to Sheldon's house for Sunday dinner. I mean, just that's what it was. And Sheldon knew how to cook, and there was always a lot of food. And Sheldon was a check writer, so he got the food for free. So it was some good food in that damn house. So Sheldon would have these big dinner parties. And gosh, it was just so much chaos. The arguing, the fussing, and the fighting. Then after that, everybody get through arguing, fussing, fighting, we'd head to the clubs. Loretta's. It's like, okay, Carlos, people are still angry with each other. We walk into the club and they still getting into it in the parking lot. We like, they're still fighting, physically fighting as we all, a group of friends walking to the club, and they still fighting, tussling with each other. And I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, that's the world we lived in. And I accepted it as normal. Sometimes as black people, we accept dysfunction is normal. And when I look back on that, I said, what the hell was I doing around them crazy sissies? Why? My mama was cooking Sunday dinner. I was better off going to hang out at my mama's house. At least it wouldn't have been all this chaos and confusion. But I wanted to be a part of the house. And we weren't really a house. It was just a group of friends. But I wanted to be in that scene with them. Because when we went to the club, people stared like, well, who are these people? Even though some who they was acting a fool. Robert would read and carry on. Oh my God, Robert was horrible. Robert would read you so bad you'd be in tears. And he just would carry on some awful. He'd get drunk and just go on and just start just all kinds of stuff. And like I said, a lot of us accepted that dysfunction as normal. And I remember all this stuff. And the sad part is, Sheldon, Robert, Alonzo, all these guys that were there at these Sunday dinners they're dead. They all died from AIDS. And I'm talking about a house full of people. The thing about Sheldon would put on this image as if he was wealthy. He wanted people to think he was rich. Sheldon's apartment was beautiful. Sheldon had the nicest cars, the nicest apartments, beautiful furniture, food, the top shelf liquor, nicest clothes. When I met Sheldon, he told me he was an engineer. I think I did videos about Sheldon. Sheldon told me he was an engineer, had graduated from the University of Michigan or something else. The boy was just a regular old stunt queen. He was writing checks and doing credit cards and all kinds of fraudulent shit. But he had beautiful stuff, and so he played a part because he was articulate, intelligent, handsome. So you were thinking that Sheldon really was this. He always had a nice car. All the cars were stolen. Right. This boy was stealing brand new cars from the dealerships. Sheldon was always up to no good. But if you didn't know this, as I found out later, so I was admiring Sheldon, his nice cars, they were all stolen. He would buy a car from a dealership and never pay for it. Never paid for it. But I didn't find this out until later. I didn't know. the type of lifestyle that Sheldon. Nobody tell you, Sheldon's stealing cars. No, because they all, they all were doing. Sheldon had I would say, Sheldon had the nicest furniture, the nicest apartments, brand new. He was always in a brand new apartment complex because he moved around a little bit because he was running around doing stunts. And he had these beautiful apartments, beautifully furnished apartments, artwork, just very nice. He had a lifestyle. And the only way I can say this is of the rich and famous, because he always had money and clothes and nice cars, and he had everything. And the only thing that was missing was him going to work. And of course, I'm working at this point. This is before I got involved in criminal activities. I was working 2 jobs, so I'd be over at Sheldon's house eating dinner, and I'd have to leave because I'd be at work the next day. Or that whole time period was just, to relive it again. Knowing what I know today. Just to go back in time. If you can go back in time and redo some things, there are some things I would like to have redone. Or I would love to revisit the Sheldon's dinner parties. I ruled them damn parties. Instead of sitting over there quietly, I'd have got up and danced on that damn table. But you look back, but I was young and didn't have a voice like I do now. So when you're young, you don't necessarily have a voice. You have to find your voice. You have to find out who you are. And I had to find out who I was among a den of thieves. That's the best way I can describe it. They were all thieves and crooks, check writers, credit card forgers, drug dealers. I mean, it was just a lot of shit going on back then. Nobody worked but my black ass. But I was young, so I would say. And actually, I'm going to go back. Those years would have been, Sheldon's dinner parties took place in 1989. They were the first year I moved here, 1989. That's when Sheldon was having those dinner parties, in 1989. Because I didn't know anything about check writing, nothing about illegal activities. I didn't learn nothing until later on. When Sheldon, I don't know what took place. And I found out what Sheldon was up to. Because they didn't want me to know. And when I look back on it, they didn't want me to know and didn't want me to even be involved because they were trying to save my black ass. It's the truth. Sometimes you wonder why people won't tell you what they're up to. They didn't want me to get involved in what they were doing because they were really trying to save my black ass. I remember Sheldon encouraged me, Walter, you need to be down at Morehouse. You need to go down to Georgia State University. At this point, Georgia State was a local school. He's like, you can go down there and sign up for Georgia State. And he would encourage me to do stuff like that. And, when you look back on it, you understand why. I thought maybe Sheldon was trying to get rid of me, but he was really trying to encourage me to do something with my life because he wasn't doing anything at all with his. So he was encouraging me. I remember Tony Bowens, another character from back in the day. Tony Bowens took me in. He really became my sort of like a house father to me. And Tony Bowens Tony Bowens and Sheldon did not like each other at all. Tony Bowens was like Sheldon and Tony Bowens were arch enemies for whatever reason. I don't know what took place, but they didn't like each other. And when they found out that I was hanging with both of them, they did not like that. Sheldon would be talking about Tony Bowens, and Tony Bowens would be talking about Sheldon, but then they get together and be smiling and happy and stuff, so I was confused. I'm like, okay, but they were just talking about each other. We at the club all hugging up and happy. Then the next day, don't you be around Tony Bowens? It would just be, they got certain parts of that Pose TV show correct, because the club was such an important part of being gay. Back then, we were in the club every night. Everybody. We didn't have no internet, no cell phones, no smartphones, no none of this shit. We'd be in the club every night. Every night. Every night we would be in the club. So hold on, let me do it. Hold on. So anyway, we'd be in the club every single night. And that takes a toll too. Everybody's in the club all night long drinking. All night long. But I'm grateful that there were people like Tony Barnes and Sheldon Horn. That's what I said, Sheldon Horn in my life. They did try to push me in the right direction. I know Tony Barnes did. But the funny part is, Tony Barnes was doing his illegal shit. Sheldon Horn was doing his illegal shit. They both were doing illegal shit. Except Tony Barnes had a nice house, cars that were paid for. Tony Barnes had Corvettes, BMWs, Mercedes Benzes. That's the type of shit he was on. His thing was on a different level than Tony Barnes saw Sheldon as being too flashy. And that was his issue with Sheldon. Sheldon was extremely flashy. Tony Barnes and Sheldon both did die, eventually died from AIDS. But Tony Barnes is flashy in his own way too now. Don't get it wrong now, because he had these expensive cars that he would pull right in front of the club and park right out front in front of the club. So you see these expensive cars, like, damn, he got this car. And we'd be like, wow, he had cars that you wanted, back in the day, BMWs, Mercedes, S-Classes, Corvettes. He had all these expensive cars. You go to his house, Tony Barnes had a fleet of cars at his house. So I guess the difference between the two of them was that Sheldon was they didn't like each other. Sheldon and Tony Barnes didn't like it. Tony owned a house. Sheldon was renting apartments, so Tony would always talk about Sheldon, these fancy apartments. Why is he paying that expensive rent? We can go buy him a house. Houses were relatively cheap back in Atlanta back then. So that's how he ended up buying a house, because Tony Barnes kept encouraging me to buy a house. I bought a house at 23 years old. He said, he made me go buy a house. And I did. That's how I ended up buying that house in Stone Mountain, because he's like, you need to buy a house. Put your money into this house and pay off this damn house. And y'all, I kid you not, when I bought that house in 93, I could have paid that house off cash. I had the cash money. I had the cash. I could have paid it off cash, and should have. He was trying to tell me what to do. I wanted to buy a new car. It was just crazy. I can go back in time. Lord, if I can go back in time. Yeah, I could have paid the house off, though. I could have paid the house completely off, and it would have been paid for. But, your priorities, I was trying to get to D.C., trying to get to New York, trying to get to the L.A., trying to get to the party, the beach party here, trying to be seen, trying to get down to Texas. I remember I bought that house. I closed that house, threw that furniture in there, and we went there. Next thing I know, we were in Texas for the Splash event. Splash or something. But it was Pose. I would love for somebody to do a show like Pose about Atlanta, because Atlanta will always be the epicenter for black gays. Yeah, New York plays a part in this, but all them folks that was in New York eventually moved to Atlanta. Everybody ended up in Atlanta, whether you lived in New York, Chicago, Washington, D.C., Los Angeles, Miami. Everybody ended up here because they wanted to be in Atlanta. Atlanta was just, black Mecca. I did my videos about that. So, I don't know. But that episode it was good. That episode of Pose was probably they got it right. I don't know who's writing the show, but for me, because I was there, I'm trying to tell these younger cats, I'm like, there's a scene where the model, she goes off because she was on cocaine and she started going crazy and all this stuff, and she started reading to people and stuff. When Robert got on cocaine, oh my God, that boy just went from 0 to 100. Robert chased behind me with a knife one time. Sure did. He was high on coke. I said something to him. He grabbed the knife and chased me around the apartment. Could have killed my ass. And then his partner grabbed him up, and everybody was grabbing Robert, and everybody was trying to figure out what was wrong. Robert was high on drugs. He was high on drugs. And then Robert's mama came over about 30 minutes later. She showed up there and making sure I was okay. And she's like, did he try to stab you? They said he tried to kill you. I said, well, he had a knife, but he didn't touch me with it, the knife. But Robert, if they hadn't grabbed Robert would have got my ass with that knife. Sure would have. I remember Alonzo came to the bed. I was so in love with Alonzo. I was in love with Alonzo. That was one person I had a crush on. Alonzo was like 6'5", 6'6", tall, big, muscular guy. But Alonzo was a hoe. He was a ho-ho. So he was running around. He was I just said, well. I look back on all that stuff. And see, when I bought that house in 1993, everybody was in shock. See, I didn't tell them what I was up to. Tony Barnes and Tony took me to go see a real estate agent. I was making good money. I was making a killing. I was stunning. And Tony Barnes knew I had all this money. He was like, Tony came and picked me up one day and said, I want you to meet a friend of mine. I said, okay. And he took me to Linda Avery's office. And that's how I ended up buying this house with Linda. She was a RE/MAX real estate agent. And, I talk about a diva. I introduced a video about Linda Avery. She was a diva. But I felt Linda Avery is the person who introduced me to real estate. Tony Barnes introduced me to it, but Linda was the person who really pushed me into doing real estate. But I bought that first house in 1993. I was 23. I was 22 at the time. I turned 23. I had a pool party. My first pool party was for my 23rd birthday, 1993. Yep, 1993. Some shit that went on in that damn house. Some fussing and fighting and arguing with them damn homosexuals. Good Lord. Yeah, but Poe's got it right. The whole fighting, the arguing, the fussing, the backstabbing, it was correct. It was a lot of chaos back then in my life. Like I said, dysfunction that we accept as normal. And remember, like I said, we were all friends. They'd be fighting at the house, and we'd get in the cars and drive to the club, and they'd be fighting on the way inside the club and get inside the club and pretend like it happened. After the club, everybody back fighting again. I'm like, my goodness, we'd be leaving the club, they'd be back fighting again. I remember what you said about me an hour ago. I'm like, what did they let this shit go? Couldn't let it go. They couldn't let it go. But anyway, my mouth was sore. I can't even tell it's swollen. These poor little teeth, I just want to get this shit over with. But anyway, I'm very drink this drink. And I bought some donuts. Yeah, I bought some donuts. Fuck this, I'm eating damn donuts. I said, if I'm going to suffer like this, I wouldn't get me some donuts. Some damn expensive ass donuts. Yeah. Let me see, and snack on, munch on these donuts. They know these dead soft, so I can eat on this side of the mouth. And then I'll go my ass to bed. It's still early. It's only 8 o'clock. But I'm going to watch that Pose episode again. That's what I was going to be watching because I didn't get a chance to really enjoy it because some other shit. But I do want to do something else. A video about. I got to get back to my Niggerville series, and I've come up with some ideas. Niggerville and the boundaries. The boundaries that. I admit that I allowed certain people to cross certain boundaries with me, black folks. And it created a lot of confusion. And there's a lot of stuff that took place this year that should not have happened. But it happened because I violated my terms of engagement and boundaries. We all have boundaries that we put in place to protect ourselves. And I let those boundaries slip. And it caused me to suffer some harm because of that. And so, and when you're in Niggerville, you got to have boundaries to protect you. Because these niggas out here don't give a fuck. They just don't care. So I'll talk about that later. But for now, I'm going to take a break. Shit, my mouth tired. It's 8 o'clock. Thursday, August the 8th. The year is 2019. And I look forward to reading you all's comments. If you didn't, I hope I didn't give away too much. If you haven't seen that episode of Pose, it's been a couple of days now. I was trying to give it a couple of days so I can discuss it. But I thought that was a really good show. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watch that show because it's kind of... it's a very interesting show. I'll say that. Because it's a reflection of where I've been. It takes me back like a time machine almost, like to a part of my life that really existed. And some people are probably watching that show saying, is this real? Yeah, I'm here to tell you, it is quite real. And there was a part of that episode when he went and he tested positive. The character Ricky tested positive for HIV, and how the nurse was not very friendly about this. She was just, who's your sexual partner about? That's pretty much how it went down. You know, that when it was just, I remember people would test positive, the health department would immediately come out and it would just be a lot of chaos and confusion. You know, they'd be going from door to door trying to track down sexual partners. It was something else back then. Anyway, yeah, I was in the 90s. But this is 2019 in a different world now, where everybody hides HIV and pretends like it don't exist. but they do exist. But anyway, I'm out of here. Enjoy your rest of your Thursday. Let me take a pain pill now. Bye.